Falling in Reverse. Love them or hate them, they are doing some awesome shit. The 10 songs they've released since coming home have been massively successful with over 1 billion collective streams. These 10 songs explore many genres and influences. Some of these songs are highly progressive, covering 3 or 4 distinct genres in as many minutes. And their latest single, All My Life, is in E-flat major. Very few metal bands have the balls to write a song in major, let alone release it as the last single before an album. For me, the most impressive part of this is that they're able to fit so many different ideas into one song, and yet still manage to be more radio friendly than most metal bands. In this video, we'll look at what Falling in Reverse are doing to give themselves a unique sound, and the skills that you'll need to develop if you'd like to do something similar. What makes Falling in Reverse unique? On one hand, you've got music that is changing and shifting in unpredictable ways. On the other hand, the musical ideas that we're working through are relatively normal if they fell inside a typical song for that genre. Let's look at Watch the World Burn. The first minute and 40 seconds are rap. When I first heard this song, I hadn't heard of Falling in Reverse. All I was thinking is that this song sounds like Rap God by Eminem. And I'm not upset at that either. I love Rap God. It doesn't matter if you listen to this part, this part, or this part. It all sounds like rap, as in, there's nothing stylistically that's indicating anything other than what we'd expect to hear from a rap song. Until when we get here, this drum fill gives us the first indication that we might not be listening to a typical rap song. However, these drums are introduced in a way that feels complementary. It doesn't feel like these drums are about to start playing a blast beat or something, but they're definitely building to something that isn't typical for rap. Then, with these guitars, we get the first solid indication that we're moving towards metal. Once again, it's under the banner of rap at this point in time. There's a chance that we're just adding some metal instrumentation to a rap song, which has been done many times since the 90s. And then we get the a cappella section. This is where the song becomes unique. We've obviously had rap and we've just dipped our toes into metal. Instead of leaning towards one or the other, we get a new musical idea that could belong in either. To me, it feels more like a metal idea, but this section needs to bridge the energetic and tonal gap between metal and rap. If this a cappella section was less intense, it would absolutely belong in rap, but it would also be more disconnected from the metal. And once this short a cappella section is over, we move to a metalcore chorus. So whilst it's unusual for a metal band to connect unrelated genres, it's not uncommon. The thing that seems to be really specific to Falling in Reverse though, is that each genre of music they explore, they follow the conventions that that genre usually follows. They're not doing a metal song with rap, and they're not doing a rap song with metal. They're doing a section that adheres to the tonal and stylistic conventions of a particular genre before moving somewhere else. Some of you may be thinking that they definitely borrow some instrumentation or stylistic ideas and present them in another genre. You'd be right, they do this in the rap section in Ronnie, the pre-chorus in Voices in My Head, and many other places. But this is the exception rather than the rule. To me, this is key to their uniqueness, but in saying that, it's hard to talk about what makes them unique without talking about the most polarizing factor of the band, Ronnie. Naturally, a lot of what we hear from Falling in Reverse stems from Ronnie and his voice. As far as I'm aware, he's the main songwriter for the band. Obviously, he has an interest in expanding his skills, not only as a vocalist, but also as a songwriter. Most people will find their narrow lane of music that they enjoy and that they're good at, and explore that in greater depth. Ronnie clearly pushes his own boundaries because he can rap, he can sing, he can scream, and he can even do beautiful clean stuff like his version of Last Resort. And I believe it's this intention to push the boundaries of skill that give Falling in Reverse a large aspect of their uniqueness. If you're consistently writing material that pushes your technique both on your instrument and as a songwriter, you will inevitably write music that is more unique. You are spending time in less familiar territories, therefore your music will make new and less common connections. And there's a secret hiding in here as well. Most songs these days usually repeat a catchy idea over and over to try and get stuck in people's ears. Songs like Watch the World Burn and Ronnie are not catchy in the typical way that we find a song catchy. The structures are unclear, the chorus idea might only appear once, the tonal palette shifts constantly, and on and on. Doing this is suicide for a typical song, but these songs are not typical. And yes, Falling in Reverse do write catchy radio-friendly songs like All My Life, Zombified, or Voices in My Head. but what they want in their less typical songs is to make the whole song an experience. You can't really put your finger on one section that you really love, you just enjoy the journey throughout the song. Now what makes this so powerful is you can actually afford to write average musical sections. If you write a generic metalcore verse leading to a generic metalcore chorus with a generic metalcore bridge, you have a generic metalcore song. But let's say you've got a somewhat generic metalcore chorus. If you pair that with a hardcore verse and a rap bridge, the atypical structure will elevate all the average parts to make an exciting whole. This doesn't mean you should be lazy and write average or bad sections, but it does mean that you can get away with some less than perfect ideas. So with all that said, let's move on to what skills you'd need to develop to write music like this. Writing like Falling in Reverse is not easy. If you listen to All My Life, you will find a certain set of skills are required to make a song like that. But if you listen to a song like Ronnie, pretty much all the previous information will be a direct contradiction. Then you listen to Zombified, and once again, you've got a new set of information that doesn't really apply. Whilst this makes it harder to pin down exactly what Falling in Reverse are doing, it's actually key to understanding their approach. If you think about it, a song like Watch the World Burn or Ronnie is relatively consistently establishing an idea and then destroying it. There's little to no intention to remain faithful to one idea or one section. Once it's been established, you throw it out and move on. And then from song to song, they're essentially doing the same thing. No song that has been released before has any power or influence over the current song. That doesn't mean that every single song must be totally different from every other one. But it does mean that once you've explored a genre or concept a couple of times, let it go and explore something else. To write like this, you need to approach each section with a creative mind. You need to be willing to go to the place that might feel insane and disconnected, and if a musical idea isn't working, throw it out and try a new one. If you approach every aspect of the composition with this experimental attitude, you'll be able to move in unpredictable ways. Sure, you will have many failures along the way, but soon enough, something that shouldn't work will feel like the only answer. Now, I know that I'm making this sound simple. It's not. People can spend years trying to nail just one genre. And I'm here saying, just flow with it and you'll feel your way through like 4 genres. Realistically, you need to have a bunch of experience in writing each of these genres, and more to the point, understand the stylistic and tonal norms of the genre at a deep level. And then spend a lot of time learning how to transition from one genre to another. As mentioned previously, each genre that's explored is a relatively normal representation of that genre. So let's say you write 10 metalcore songs. You'd have a pretty decent understanding of how to make metalcore songs work. Once you've written those metalcore songs, you then write 10 rap songs. After that, you write 10 pop-punk songs like old school Falling in Reverse. Then you should have enough experience within each of these genres to understand what the norms are. You should understand how each genre normally builds energy, or changes from one section to the next, or climaxes, or how the songs usually start or finish. Then it's just a case of creating one section and blending the transition from one genre to the next. Do that a handful of times and you've got yourself a Falling in Reverse song. The only thing that makes this really difficult is that these transitions between genres usually only last a few seconds. That means that whatever idea you're currently exploring, you've got a few seconds to introduce new instruments or musical ideas before the old section dies. A warning though, don't write 4 different unrelated sections and try to force them together. Yes, it's possible to write like this, but it's highly likely that you'll end up unable to connect the ideas, which could mean throwing out 4 potentially great ideas. My advice would be to write each section as they're needed. It doesn't matter where you start, but if you write one section, imagine where it comes from and where it goes to. Doing this will make it far easier to connect the sections, as everything you're writing will carry over some context from the previous sections. So let's sum all this up nicely and let you go and get creative. What makes Falling in Reverse unique is their willingness to move from one genre to another and be faithful to the genre for the time that they're there. What you need to write songs like Falling in Reverse are an understanding of tonal and stylistic norms of any genre that you want to include, extensive experience in musical transitions, and a flexible and free approach to creative problems. If you've got all those 3 skills, the hardest part will be throwing away normal songwriting conventions like repetition or development in hopes that you can connect 2 or more unrelated ideas. If you don't have those skills yet, start by writing 10 songs in each genre that you want to incorporate. Then start trying to connect them. If the first song you try to write is a Falling in Reverse song, you will fail many times and most likely become quite disheartened. Opt for the smaller wins that keep you being creative. I hope that helps you on your songwriting journey. I really enjoyed looking at Falling in Reverse because it taught me quite a lot. What other artists would you like to see me discuss? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.